Video games. No matter what your opinion is on the subject, they certainly have made an impact in our world of media. Of course, playing on a video game is very different to reading a book or watching a movie. And the obvious reason for this is that you do become involved in the story in a very different way than you would whilst reading a book or watching a movie. You become a part of it, and you have control over the characters, and it's up to you who decides what actions are used and where they go. And I think that's the notion, the character. It's important to portray them in different ways so that players can see different types of appearances and personalities. But unfortunately, when it comes to gender ratio, there are not too many female characters in video games to follow this, as they're known to portray the same type of character in many different video games. But that's not to say it's all downhill when it comes to the subject. Female roles in video games have evolved over time, and it's kind of amazing when you look back. So let's go back to, 1981. Arcade games' roles for female characters was mainly just a damsel in distress. And that was pretty much it. They weren't a playable character, and while they did drive whatever plot forward by simply being that damsel in distress, the character wasn't really given that much thought by gamers, as they knew she would always be there at the end of the game waiting to be rescued. Just waiting. And waiting. Waiting. But of course, like time itself, the character evolved, and pretty soon the damsel in distress wasn't the only choice for female characters. So now we're in the late 80s and early 90s, and female characters could now have a different role to play. They could now also be the supporting role, and although the character was still unplayable and not really in the spotlight, they still helped out the main character in many different ways, like giving them a clue to the game or helping them unlock different items or weapons for them to use. They had a much stronger role in the game, and their presence and role could help the gamer win the video game. But what really was amazing is that now female characters have something called a personality. And pretty soon, these characters did become playable, participating in game levels and battles of their own, which contributed to the success of the game. And yet again, because of this, the female character evolved. And since the 90s to the present day, we do have female roles that can take the lead, won't take no for an answer, and are generally known as the main protagonist, i.e. the character who the gamer has control of most or all of the time. She now has her own strengths and weaknesses that contribute strongly to the video game, and whatever kind of genre it belongs to or what kind of plot it's based around, it's now our female protagonist that can also take the lead. Additionally, we have video games that have both male and female protagonists sharing the spotlight, doing an equal amount of gameplay and giving them both different types of appearances and personalities, so that gamers of both genders can relate to the character they're playing and, in turn, become more a part of the video game.